careful when you play the game, man. You better know your options. Don't try to photocopy when you out here being saucy. It's getting too spicy, I ain't even had my coffee. Don't be wrapped up in your feelings and be careful when you flash. And when you play the game, man, you better know your options. Don't try to photocopy when you out here being saucy. It's getting too spicy, I ain't even had my coffee. I'm up early in the morning, time to get it in. Time to show and prove, show you what I've been doing. I'm coming with a passion, I'm trying to get to know you. Why you thinking that I'm asking? I like to get it poppin', cause my sound is supersonic. I done came so far, and it's early in the morning. I just woke up out my sleep, threw some water on my face. Yeah, it's just another day in the Golden State. Ain't no tossing and turning or time for insomnia. I know the best way to make it is to cut the drama and give it my all and follow through on what I promise.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
At least I was honest.
See, I can only do what's in my power to do. And what? Good morning.
If I use it like a fool, if I wanna make it to the top, I gotta.
We don't got all morning, ladies and gentlemen. You know what we are here to do. Hey,
don't try to photocopy, you can never top me.
Good morning.
I was born to be a winner, you can never stop me. Don't try to photocopy, you can never top me. I was born to be a winner, you can never stop me. Don't be wrapped up in your feelings and be careful when you flash. And when you play the game, man, you better know your options. Don't try to photocopy when you out here being saucy. It's getting too spicy, I ain't even had
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Bama, good morning. How are you? Tara, good morning.
Game, man, you better know your options. Don't try to photocopy when you out here being saucy.
Don't try to do it.
Too spicy, I ain't even had my coffee. I just put my watch on, you know what time it is. I'm chasing my purpose in this music business. Let's get it in, I'm so focused on my mission. There's no competition, there's no excuses for opposition. One thing's for certain, I'm motivated to be in the kitchen. I gotta listen if I wanna make a difference. Cause what I'm doing can be lost in an instance. Now I'm making a living, so why the hell are they tripping? Is it because I'm the one that they see in their visions? I got a million different ways I can hit with precision. I know I'm gifted cause the way that I speak causes change. And even though it's hard, I stayed in my lane. Don't try to photocopy, you can never top me. I was born to be a winner, you can never stop me. Don't try to photocopy, you could never top me. I was born to be a winner, you could never stop me. Don't be wrapped up in your feelings and be careful when you flashing. And when you play the game, man, you better know your options. Don't try to photocopy when you out here being saucy. It's getting too spicy, I ain't even had my coffee. Don't be wrapped up in your feelings and be careful when you flashing. And when you play the game, man, you better know your options. Don't try to photocopy when you out here being saucy. It's getting too spicy, I ain't even had my coffee.
Yeah, break it down now.
Yeah, break it down.
Did she kill it yesterday? Yeah, she did.
Yeah, break it down now. Yeah.
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning.
Don't be a photocopy, be yourself. Don't be a photocopy, be yourself.
Hey, let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
It's me, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, don't be a photocopy, be yourself. Don't be a photocopy, be yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, I ain't even had my coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how it is. Don't be a photocopy, be yourself. Don't be a photocopy, be yourself. Alright, ladies and gentlemen.
Alright.
It's me, Mr. Crossan, aka Zeus.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Cutie Utie, good morning. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are back in the Thunderdome. I am your host, Little Hawk. Thank you, brother. I see you, Holly. Thank you so much for the subscription. All right, we are once again back in the Thunderdome to do, you know what, the Lord's work, all right? But before we get started, let's take care of some housekeeping items. Yes, the song was called Coffee. It's a great song. It's a great song for the show, all right? Before we get started, let's take care of some housekeeping items. For those of you who do not know who I am, I go by the name Zeus, or as some like to say, Triple H. And why do they call me Triple H? Well, it's quite simple. The first H is because I'm honest. The second H is because I'm humble. And the last and the final H, ladies and gentlemen, is because you guessed it, I am and will always remain the most handsome. Honest, humble, and handsome. Thank you for the follows. All right, work bros, good morning. All right, many of you are familiar with what we do over here on this side of TikTok, on this side of town. What we do is we hold our friends on the right, especially their cult leader, Donald Trump, accountable for their dirty, disgusting, filthy deeds as well as their crimes. And believe you me, isn't it safe to say that it just seems like they've hit the jackpot with Donald Trump right an endless supply of misinformation, disinformation, and crimes, right? And so I must say this, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a Trump supporter, you're one of those independents that, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump despite the obvious. All right, Tara, thank you so much, by the way. I will be back on my main account tomorrow. I just want you all to know that it's supposedly going to be returned to me. My powers will be restored at 8 a.m. Pacific time today. But that's not enough time to get the show started. So we're going to use the backup today, but then tomorrow I will be back on my main. All right. So listen up, MAGA. If you are, as my good friend Brother Swervin likes to say, lactose intolerant, you know what that means? That means you have an allergic reaction when the facts are being shared, sort of like a person who's lactose intolerant has an allergic reaction to dairy. All right. Then you might want to leave this live and go on and hang out with those fake TikTok hosts. All right, because they'll lie to you. All right. All right. They will lie to you to make you feel good. But I won't do that. No, I use what I like to call a little shock therapy mixed with a lot of truth. And what that is designed to do is to help you get out of that cult and realize that, things like, are you a Christian? No, you're not a Christian. Are you a patriot? No, you're not a patriot. You're a seditionist, treasonous traitor. All right. And that's how this is going to go. I do bring Trump supporters up occasionally. Those that are willing to have an honest, respectful conversation, all right? I'll say, come on in the box. Because if I see you lying in my chat, you know what I'm going to do. I am going to say, come in the box and explain what you mean. And if I invite you to get in the box and you don't explain what you mean and you reject my invitation, I'll ask my moderators. I'll say, Little Hawk, and having any of these moderators that are out there, please put these Trump supporters in a straitjacket, so that I can minister to your souls. Because a lot of you Trump supporters are on your way to hell. All right? You really are on your way to hell and you don't even realize it. So this show is to help you realize you're on your way to hell. Now, after you realize you're on your way to hell, if you want to continue to go there with those gasoline draws on, that's your choice. You know what I mean? Your choice, your body, your choice, right? So let's get this show started. All right, let's get this show started. Now, you know exactly what we are here to do. All right, but before I do that, I must say today is 9/11, and so we want to honor those who lost their lives during 9/11. Actually, today I woke up and I saw who was there: Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance. They are all at the 9/11 ceremony today in New York City, which was interesting. So yes, we will honor those who lost their life today. All right, today is 9/11. Other news that has recently came out: inflation is down. Right, they said we're at 2.5%. So it just goes to show you that President Biden and his Vice President Kamala Harris, they do understand how to make the economy work for everyday Americans. And I'm very confident that when Kamala Harris becomes president, her opportunity economy, thank you, Linda, tastes really good. I got some coffee. Her opportunity economy, it will do a number to actually help everyday Americans, get their families and their priorities in order post-pandemic. All right. Make no mistake, a lot of you Trump supporters are complaining about your gas prices and your egg prices and the prices of bacon and things like that. You got to understand how we got here. We got here because of your cult leader, Donald Trump. I know that's hard for you to understand. All right, but just let it sink in if you don't mind. Now, let's get started with what we all watched yesterday. Did any of you watch the debate yesterday? Put a 1 in the chat if you watched the debate yesterday. Because I got some questions. I seriously do. Put a 1 in the chat if you watched the debate. Okay, so we're all on the same type of time. Thank you. All right. We all saw the same debate, correct? I just want to make sure there was only one debate. I'm talking about the debate against the winner and the loser. The winner was Kamala Harris. And the loser was Donald Trump. Look at all these people that put 1 in the chat. All right. So let's go through some of what we saw yesterday. I don't got all morning, and then I'm gonna reach out and talk to those of you who have something you might want to say about it. All right, a lot of you might disagree with me, but I don't know how you can. I really don't know how you could disagree with me. I mean, Kamala Harris, ladies and gentlemen, put on what we call a master class. It was a clinic. All right. Donald Trump, his head was down, his eyes were squinted. You know, they gave him something. I don't know what they gave him, but Dr. Ronnie Johnson must have put something in his cup because he looked defeated the moment that he walked on stage. Now, what I did like is if you watch it, Kamala Harris, when she came out, did you notice how she went and introduced herself to him? Did you all catch that? She went into his cage and made him shake her hand. I said, this is not looking good. Where's that strong man with his shirt off looking like Rambo at? She took the power right away from him. She says, give it to me, Donald Trump. I'm the most powerful person in this room. Then she goes back to her podium. All right. And I mean, he didn't know what to say. He had a very difficult time looking over at her. You know, and I said to myself, you know, I have a, you know, when someone doesn't want to look at you, that means one thing. They're afraid. That's what that means. So the entire time we got to watch Donald Trump with his tail tucked in like a very scared animal, wondering what is Kamala Harris going to do next. And so the show started out with obviously everyone kind of getting to get their feet under them, right? We heard the conversation a little bit about the economy. You know, I'd say Trump looked pretty good right there, right? But then things kind of started to go, things got sort of haywire. Where did things start to get a little interesting? Well, I'm going to start at the 19-minute mark, if you don't mind, where Kamala Harris, where they had to talk about abortion, right? I said, okay, because you knew abortion was on the menu. Let's see if Donald Trump can actually look the American people in the eye and say, this is my stance on abortion. Now, he already lost. He already lost. Before the question was asked, he already lost because, remember, she shook his hand. But let's see what he did.
Millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly.
Hold
6
on.
weeks. But then
I want to start this. This is where it started to go downhill for Donald Trump. All right.
Destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
Stop it. Stop it.
Thank you.
Okay, here goes.
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Okay, so let's understand the jujitsu that's going on here. Donald Trump yesterday after this debate said it was 3 versus 1. But in this particular instance, this is really Donald Trump fighting himself, right? But he thinks everyone else is against. But this is a great way to just let somebody destroy themselves using their own words. Listen to how Donald Trump, listen to how he fights himself, all right, in terms of what his position is on abortion. Are you for it or against it, sir?
The reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar.
He's fighting himself. Okay, sir, are you for it or against it? And by the way, if you look at Kamala Harris's expressions, she's looking at this and she's going, easy merch, easy merch. This guy over there with that orange makeup on, with that bird's nest on his head, with that ridiculous red tie and that crumpled blue suit, you know, he dresses up like a clown. She's licking her chops going, keep talking, Donald.
Every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President.
Woo! ABC had to fact check this guy. Now, a lot of you feel like it was 3 versus 1, but what we got to do is make sure misinformation isn't getting pushed on these networks, all right? So it wasn't 3 versus 1. It was making sure these businesses, you know, because you got to protect yourself from being sued. They didn't want to get sued because of Donald Trump's lies, all right? Keep that in mind. That's what happened with Fox. Not happening with ABC. Kamala, what do you have to say about Donald Trump arguing with himself?
I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to...
Thank you, my good friend Law of the Wild. Read the comment, Trump supporters. Journalists have an obligation to call out clear and obvious misinformation. See? And that's a lawyer right there speaking to you. Let's give Law of the Wild a round of applause. W in the chat for Law of the Wild. Law of the Wild.
Provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith,
right,
or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body,
Amen,
should not be made by the government.
Bingo! Bingo! Round of applause for Vice President Harris. Steamrolled Donald Trump. Now, we're going to jump ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and let's talk immigration, all right? Because Donald Trump, this immigration thing that happened, right? We knew Donald Trump couldn't refrain from talking about immigration or the economy. We just didn't know how Kamala Harris was going to get him with the zinger, because it was coming, right? So we have the question about immigration, and this is when I would say Kamala Harris broke Donald Trump. She broke him. After this, it was all downhill. And you Trump supporters, you know it. There's not a Trump supporter on this app that can actually get in this box and say, Donald Trump did a great job after this moment. Listen up, ladies and gentlemen.
Under Roe v.
Answer the
Wade,
question
you
with your veto.
could do abortions in the 7th month,
Hold
the
on.
8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably...
I don't want to hit.
Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June,
Hold on,
President
Julie.
Biden imposed tough new asylum
I want you to
restrictions.
listen
We
to
know
this,
the numbers
Julie.
since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden?
Julie,
on
this is for you.
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings.
Right.
You don't need to be a professor to know that
Oh, what's
California
the commercial for? We don't got time for the
Prop 33
commercials.
would
She's
make that
about to
crisis
cook
worse.
Donald Trump.
33 would reduce construction of new
Oh
affordable
my gosh.
housing.
Okay, hold on,
Renters
ladies and gentlemen. We're
looking
going to
for a
get
home.
there. We're going to get
Vote
there.
no on anti-housing
Jesus
33.
Christ. All right.
If you're not making
Oh my God, we gotta listen to two of them?
per
Oh,
year,
sheesh.
but you'd like to,
Okay, here we go.
And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill,
No.
which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have
Alan.
been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings.
Right.
But you know what happened?
What happened?
To that bill?
What?
Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why?
Why?
Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies.
Come on.
Because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first. And I pledge to you that I will.
Okay. Now, you Trump supporters, I know you didn't just see that, but let me explain what just happened. She threw him off his game with that remark. Because, you know, like Obama said, what's with him? He has this weird obsession with crowd size. I think he likens it to his member size. And we all know this. So you could just think of what she did. She pretty much just pulled his pants down and showed the world how small he really was. And you know what he should have done? He should have said, you know what, let me pull my pants back up and get back to the show. But he couldn't control himself. And let's listen to Donald Trump throw away his campaign. Listen to how he threw away his campaign right here. MAGA, explain this.
President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said
Good
people
morning.
start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light.
Stop, Trump.
So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify.
Woo! Threw him off his game. He should have stuck to policy. Do you supporters not understand this? I saw someone out there say, he's right. No, he's not right, and he's off topic. He took the bait right there. You know what they say about rat poison, right? It's 1% poison, and it's 99.9% food, all right? He took the bait. He's done, all right? Now we just get to have our way with Donald Trump, all right? And part of the way we get to have our way with Donald Trump was one of my favorite parts of this debate. Then I'm going to open up the box, all right? Because we're going to talk to those of you who watch this debate to get your response as well. But these are things we need to get on the record in the kingdom, all right? One of my favorite things that came up in the debate, you know why? Why was it one of my favorite things? Because you know who's watching this debate as well, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know who else is watching this debate? All right, let me give you a clue.
Kamala debated Trump, and let me say this. I feel so great. I'm proud to be on this team. Right now,
these million.
Okay, let me give you a clue who's watching this debate. How many of you know who this is?
Smith.
You know who watched it?
Jack Smith. I've named him Deranged Jack Smith.
Remember that guy? Remember that guy?
I wonder what his name used to be. Jack Smith. It sounds so innocent, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Jack
you remember
Smith.
him?
What's his name? Jack Smith. He's a very nice man.
You know who Jack Smith is?
He's a behind-the-scenes guy, but his record is absolutely atrocious. He does political hit jobs. He's...
Okay, so we all know Special Counsel Jack Smith is watching this, and the question about January 6th came up, and I was like, you know what, let's go.
I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you, because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in.
Good job.
Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
No,
I said that sarcastically. You know that. When we said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it.
Right.
And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican,
judge looked at it.
And said
they said
no
we didn't have
widespread
standing.
fraud.
That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The President of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost.
Did you hear what he just said? That's how we lost. So again, he's letting you know before January 6th what was going on in his mind. Special Counsel Jack Smith, please use this in the courtroom.
If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight.
Get him,
he
Kamala.
said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us, we won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about facts. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
Woo! Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Kamala Harris a round of applause. Cooked. All right, ladies and gentlemen, cooked. More.
Talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack.
Jack Smith, listen
Aides
up.
in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar, remember that.
No, she wasn't.
She was the border czar.
No, she wasn't.
She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America, they're coming in from all over the world, David. All over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
one of those people got to be prosecuted. One of the people that burned down Minneapolis got to be prosecuted. Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. One of those people got to be prosecuted.
But let me just ask
you. You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me.
So you hear him. Remember how you like to say it was Nancy Pelosi that should have brought the National Guard? He's actually going on record and saying it's him. So you Trump supporters, either Donald Trump is lying or you're lying. Which one is it, MAGA? Is he lying or are you lying? He's telling you he tried to get the National Guard there. So it's clear he understands the President of the United States can bring the D.C. National Guard.
It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond.
Go ahead, Kamala. Prosecute him.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th.
Uh-oh.
I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back.
Nope.
It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Woo! Cooked. Do you Trump supporters understand how and why Donald Trump lost yesterday? All of his tricks, they backfired on him. Wait a second. We got a Trump supporter in the chat? Hold on. Toro, are you not liking this platform? You don't like me running my show the way that I'm running it? All I'm doing is giving you the truth. What's the issue? What's the issue? I haven't manipulated any of this audio. Why are you so upset? Maybe you didn't hear me at the top of the show, Toro.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave.
I tried to invite Toro up.
If you hate our
I tried to invite Toro up, but not enough, or they rejected my invite. Moderators, you know exactly what to do with Toro, all right? Torogas. They didn't answer my question, so put them in a straitjacket if you don't mind, all right? Because we don't allow people to pollute our comment section with lies and misinformation. You can say you disagree, but to just reject the offer to get in the box and defend what you're saying, oh, that's disrespectful. Greetings. Are you having a bad day this morning?
Not really. I just don't like that fake lady. You know.
Where are you calling from?
Fake. She's
where?
Fake. I'm calling from California, and that lady hasn't done.
Are you in a tunnel? Are you in a tunnel?
That.
Are you in a tunnel?
Know that.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Are you in a tunnel?
Yes, kind of.
What are you doing in a tunnel this early in the morning?
Well, I'm going to work.
Okay, well, I don't. Okay. So you have a problem with Kamala Harris telling you the truth?
She hasn't done anything for us, man.
Yes, she has. That. Yes, actually, you had. Let me ask you a question.
For the black people. You shouldn't be supporting her. Come on, man.
Well,
you're dumb.
Wait a second. Let me ask you a question. Toro. I was going to ask you a very simple question because you said you're working, and I'm wondering, how are you working in the Biden economy? You're working, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you have a job under President Biden. You see what happened to the unemployment, right? The lowest it's been. Thank you, Vice President Kamala Harris. Can you say that? Can you get out of the tunnel real quick and thank her for something once in your life? Why are you so hell-bent on talking crazy about this country, Toro? Toro, unmute your mic. See, this is what we got to deal with, ladies and gentlemen. This is a person in a where in the United States. Toro, are you there?
I'm still here. I'm driving on the 10 freeway.
Oh, wait a second. Okay, see, this is what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Toro is driving, which means he's thriving with Joe Biden. He's working, all right, probably went on vacation earlier this month, all right, like every other American, probably got a lot of money in savings. He's sending it to Donald Trump, but he gets on TikTok and tries to blame Kamala Harris because he's not happy. Well, you might want to look in the mirror, Toro, and that's the person you should blame for you being a miserable individual, because as you can see, a lot of us are happy today, and you're not happy because you're in a cult. Ladies and gentlemen, let's throw Toro into the lake of fire where he belongs, all right? Join me in giving Toro, the deranged, MAGA-possessed demon in a dark tunnel somewhere that only believes Donald Trump, what he deserves, a round of boos and shame. Goodbye, Toro.
Before you replace the windows you...
All right. So now we're going to conclude. Well, there's a lot of different parts of this debate, but one of the parts that we need to address, and Toro tried to address it, which was the issue about Kamala Harris being black. Did you all catch that part of the debate when they talked about her being black? Let's listen up, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left.
Oh, cut it out.
We wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black." I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. you make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words. So
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
Here it goes.
I think honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
Woo! Get him, Kamala.
I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families.
So when you get in my box and you start trying to ask me what Kamala Harris has done for black people, Mr. Tunnel Man, Mr. Basement Dweller, I want you to understand you need to go back and look at what Donald Trump has done to black people. You're a disgrace to this country. Get back in your tunnel and take your special behind to work. You don't deserve to talk politics on TikTok. You deserve to be in a basement, as far as I'm concerned. Keep on, Kamala.
Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys.
Black and Latino. Get your special behind back in the basement. Sick.
Who were innocent, the Central Park 5, took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that.
Yes, we do.
Want better than this.
And we deserve better.
Want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people, knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Thank you.
Vice President Harris.
Thank you. Donald Trump was dog walked yesterday so many times, he didn't know whether he was going or coming at the end of this debate. All right? He goes off stage after this debate. You can go, there's other parts that are great, but I got to move on. He goes to the spin room and tries to spin this debate to make it look like he won, right? He goes onto his social media platform, Lie Central, and publishes, I don't know where he got these charts. He must have had them make it before the debate, and he had a plan to release them because he knew only his supporters would believe those lies, right? And he knew he got his behind whooped last night. Spanked, 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 spanked. All right. Then something incredible happened, and Heaven, you did speak on it in the chat. Right after the debate, guess who endorsed him? Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift endorsed him. You cannot make this stuff up. And to any of you Trump supporters who are still thinking Donald Trump won, I got one last segment to play, and then we're going to the box. All right? We're going to the box. And this is what... Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. Appeal. We got a restriction, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man, I'm cooking MAGA so good. I'm cooking you Trump supporters so good. We got the restriction, all right? So what we'll do is we will shut down this live, ladies and gentlemen, and we will restart. I know we had a great audience, but you know what? You got to do what you got to do. I'm going to shut down the live. This is part 1. Part 2 is coming up next. I'll be right back.